This is the best bridal makeup trial I have ever done. Of course I filmed it for you, and of course there's going to be a step-by-step in-depth tutorial, so strap in girls. This is kind of a long one, but trust me, it's worth it. This makeup would honestly slap so hard for prom as well if you've got that coming up, or if you're a bride, of course, or if you just want your makeup to absolutely slay. So we're starting off with skin prep. I wanted to keep this really minimal because I went to a Makeup by Mario masterclass the other day, and there were so many tips and tricks that he said that I really wanted to use in this routine. And one of them was to keep the skin prep pretty minimal. He did use the Embryolisse cream, which mine almost definitely is out of date. I need to get a new one. Before that, I just used the Caudalie Vino Perfect Serum, and then I'm prepping my lips with the Tatcha lip mask. Guys, all of the products will of course be listed in the description. There's going to be too many products for me to say all in this voiceover, but I just prepped my eyes with a bit of concealer, and then it was straight onto tight lining with this NARS like brownie ready pencil. This was something that Makeup by Mario did as well in his masterclass. I'm actually taking one of his eyeshadow palettes and using a kind of like fleshy sort of tone color just to set that concealer, and then I'm using a slightly darker brown just to contour the inner portion of my eye. I realized with this look that I just wanted to kind of keep it on a little bit more of like the easier side, so that on the day I'm not going to actually fear doing this makeup and it's not going to stress me out too much. And also I do feel like sometimes the more simple makeup looks look the best and most effective, especially for things like bridal and prom. I just pretty much use this kind of pinky tone as a crease color, a little bit of a lighter tone in my sort of inner portion of my eye, and then I'm using that same pencil to create a really small wing. I set that eyeliner down with a little bit of a darker eyeshadow, and I was really in love with how this wing came out. This is exactly what I wanted. Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadow, of course. This just looks so stunning in person. The way it hits the light is just incredible. This right here is essentially the reason why Mario does eyes first, just to prevent any fallout. So I'm just wiping away any product that fell down from my eyes and just reapplying some of that Embryolisse cream. If you guys have watched any of my other bridal trial videos, you will probably know by now, but the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation is my foundation of choice for my wedding day. I honestly spent so long working this into my skin with the Makeup by Mario F4 brush, and then this little puffy thing just to press it all in. So this is where I started going a bit off course to how I would usually do my makeup, because I was following Mario's pattern that he did in his masterclass, which is concealer under the eyes next. And this is honestly where it got really weird for me, because I've never done my makeup like this a day in my life, but in Mario we trust. Normally right now I would go in with like my cream bronzers and blushes and stuff, but Mario actually does that after powder. So I took this really big puff and started just pressing the one size powder all over my whole face. I did use a bit of the Huda Beauty powder for under my eyes, and then I went in with the Mario Skin Enhancer bronzer and just bronzed very carefully where I would usually place my bronzer. I must admit that with this technique I do feel like I definitely need to practice it a little bit more, because I don't feel like this came out absolutely perfect today. I definitely made it work by the end, but it was giving me a little bit of kind of issues here and there throughout the process. I guess it is my first time trying it, so I'll let myself off a little bit, and like I said, it did end up looking good in the end. I went over with powder blush and then just a little bit of powder bronzer as well. Again, I was being very careful because I just wasn't sure of how this was gonna like actually work on my face. I did a few spritz of the Makeup by Mario setting mist just to set it all in place, and then I did my brows. Nothing really special here. I just filled them in ever so slightly with the Beauty Crop Good Brow Day brow pencil, and then just set them in place with the Rare Beauty brow setter. Onto lashes now. We're nearly there, guys. I went back over to my Kiss lashes that I used to use all of the time, and these actually came out so nice. I cut them in half, and then once they were stuck on, I curled my lashes and went over the top with mascara rather than doing mascara first. I added a little bit of cream highlighter just to the tops of my cheekbones. I honestly feel like this just brings the whole look together, and then I did use the same exact product on my collarbones as well. One size on till dawn will honestly have your makeup on through a world war, so that is a must on the wedding day. Onto lips now. I'm using my Jadine Sarah lip liner stain. This is just my favourite lip liner at the minute. It literally stays on for hours and hours on end, even after eating. And then in the centre of my lips, I just used the new Huda Beauty lip liner stain. I believe this is in the shade Baby Pink. Honestly, in hindsight, I think I probably would have skipped this step. I do feel like my lips look a little bit too bold for what I'd want them to look like on the wedding day, but that's okay. That's quite an easy change. I wanted a little bit more of a pop in my blush, so I just added a little bit more of the Kosas blush over the top, and then this is the finished look. For me personally, this is definitely the closest I've got so far to my perfect wedding glam. And for anyone that did want to know, this is what it looked like at the end of the day after I'd been out nearly all day in like 30-degree heat. It wasn't absolutely perfect, but that was with no touch up. Let me know what you think of it in the comments.